The massive Zephyrian warship cut through space like a silver blade. Admiral Kexavara stood on the bridge, her blue skin gleaming under the soft lights. She had conquered 12 worlds for the Empire. This would be lucky number 13. "Admiral, we are approaching the target system," reported her second-in-command. "Initial scans show a primitive civilization on the third planet. They appear to be using basic fusion technology." Kexavara smiled. Fusion technology meant they were barely out of their Stone Age by galactic standards. The Empire had moved beyond fusion 3,000 years ago. This would be easy. "Begin standard conquest protocol," she ordered. "Send the warning message. Give them 1 rotation to surrender." On Earth, alarms screamed through the Global Defense Initiative headquarters. Dr. Lisa Martinez ran down the hallway, her coffee spilling as she rushed to the command center. The screen showed something that made her heart race. Massive ships were entering their solar system. "How many?" she asked breathlessly. 50 ships, maybe more," replied the technician. "They're huge, Lisa. Each one is the size of a city." Lisa grabbed the phone and called Captain Jake Turner. He was humanity's best pilot and commanded the ESS Liberty, Earth's most advanced warship. It wasn't much compared to what was coming, but it was all they had. "Jake, we need you up there now," she said. "On my way," came the reply. Jake was already suiting up. The ESS Liberty launched from Luna Base 30 minutes later. The ship was humanity's pride and joy, built with their newest fusion antimatter hybrid drives. The engineers said it could reach speeds that should be impossible, but somehow it worked. They didn't fully understand why, but it did. Admiral Kexavara watched the small human ship approach her fleet. It was pathetic. The vessel looked like it was held together with metal plates and hope. Its design made no sense. The engines were too small for the ship's size, and the hull appeared to be made of primitive steel alloys. "Admiral, the human ship is transmitting," her communication officer reported. "Put it through." Captain Jake Turner's face appeared on the screen. He was young for a starship captain, maybe 30 years old, with short brown hair and determined eyes. "This is Captain Turner of the Earth Defense Force. You are entering our space without permission. Please state your intentions," Kexavara laughed. "I am Admiral Kexavara of the Zephyrian Empire. You will surrender your world immediately or we will take it by force." Jake shook his head. "I'm afraid that's not going to happen. We'd like to talk, but we won't surrender." "You have one of your planet's rotations to reconsider," Kexavara said, cutting the transmission. She turned to her science officer. "Analyze their ship. I want to know everything about their technology." The science officer worked for several minutes, then looked confused. "Admiral, this is strange. Their ship appears to be using chemical propulsion combined with some form of matter-antimatter reaction. According to our calculations, it should barely be able to leave their planet's atmosphere. Then why is it moving so fast?" Kexavara asked. "I don't know, Admiral. It's achieving acceleration rates that should be impossible with that technology." Meanwhile, Jake was getting reports from his own science team. Dr. Amy Foster, the ship's chief engineer, was studying the alien vessels. "Jake, their technology is incredible," she said over the comm. "Their ships are using some kind of advanced energy manipulation that's way beyond us. But there's something odd about them." "What do you mean?" "They're moving in perfect formations, following exact mathematical patterns. It's like they're flying by a computer program instead of making real-time decisions." Jake nodded. Humans had learned to fly by instinct and quick thinking. Every pilot was different, every battle was unique. Maybe that would help. 24 hours passed. Admiral Kexavara contacted the human ship again. "Have you reconsidered?" she asked. "We have," Jake replied. "Our answer is still no." Kexavara sighed. "Very well. We will demonstrate our power. Prepare to witness the might of the Empire." She ordered 3 of her ships to fire warning shots near the human vessel. Massive energy beams shot past the ESS Liberty, each one powerful enough to destroy a small moon. But instead of retreating, something impossible happened. The small human ship suddenly accelerated directly toward the Zephyrian fleet. Its engines flared with an intensity that hurt to look at, and it moved in a wild, spiraling pattern that made no sense. "What are they doing?" Kexavara demanded. "I don't know, Admiral. They're flying in a completely random pattern. No computer could calculate those movements." Jake was flying by pure instinct, using every trick he'd learned in flight school, and a few he'd made up on the spot. The Liberty twisted and turned through space like a fighter jet, not a massive starship. "Dr. Foster, I need everything the engines can give me," he called out. "Jake, if I push them any harder, they might explode," she replied. "Then let's find out what might means." The engines roared louder, and the Liberty shot forward even faster. The Zephyrian ships tried to track it with their weapons, but their targeting computers couldn't keep up with the unpredictable movements. Admiral Kexavara watched in disbelief as the tiny human ship danced between her massive warships like a leaf in the wind. Every shot missed. The humans weren't just avoiding their weapons, they were making it look easy. "How is this possible?" she whispered. Her science officer was frantically checking his instruments. "Admiral, their engine output is exceeding theoretical maximums by over 300%. According to our understanding of physics, what they're doing should be impossible." "Then our understanding is wrong," Kexavara said grimly. Jake finally pulled the Liberty back to a safe distance. He was breathing hard, but he was grinning. "Message to the Zephyrian fleet," he said. "We're willing to talk, but we're not willing to surrender. If you want to fight, we'll fight. But you might be surprised by what humans can do." Admiral Kexavara stared at the small ship on her screen. For the first time in her long military career, she felt something she'd never experienced before: uncertainty. These humans and their impossible technology had just changed everything. Admiral Kexavara called for a war council. Her best commanders gathered in the main briefing room of her flagship. The holographic display showed the small human ship still sitting defiantly in space. "We need to understand what we're dealing with," she said. "Commander Veltar, what do our tactical analyses show?" Commander Veltar was the Empire's greatest military strategist. He had planned victories across dozens of star systems, but now he looked troubled. "Admiral, the humans make no sense," he said. "Their ship should have been destroyed by our demonstration of power. Instead, they performed maneuvers that are theoretically impossible." "Theories can be wrong," Kexavara replied. "What matters is results. Can we defeat them?" "I believe so, Admiral. They have only one ship. We have 50. But I recommend caution." 3 days later, the talks broke down. The humans refused to accept Zephyrian rule, and Kexavara couldn't return to the Empire empty-handed. She had no choice but to attack. "All ships battle formation," she ordered. "We'll show them the price of defying the Empire." On Earth, emergency sirens wailed across every major city. Dr. Lisa Martinez coordinated the defense from her command bunker. She had contacted every military base on the planet. "We knew this day might come," she said to the assembled officers. "We're outnumbered and outgunned, but we're not giving up without a fight." Captain Jake Turner had been joined by 5 more Earth ships. It wasn't much, but it was everything humanity had. Among them was the ESS Guardian, commanded by Captain Nina Brooks. She was known for her aggressive tactics and creative thinking. "Jake, we need to hit them hard and fast," Nina said over the comm. "My ship is loaded with Sam Rodriguez's new projectile weapons. Let's see how their fancy shields handle some good old-fashioned kinetic energy." Sam Rodriguez was Earth's most innovative weapons engineer. While the aliens used sophisticated energy weapons, Sam had gone back to basics. His new railguns fired solid metal projectiles at incredible speeds. They looked primitive compared to laser weapons, but Sam had a theory about alien defenses. The battle began with the Zephyrian fleet firing massive energy beams at the human ships. The humans scattered in all directions, each ship moving in its own unpredictable pattern. The aliens' targeting computers couldn't handle the chaos. "Their movement patterns are completely random," reported Veltar. "No tactical logic at all." "Then we'll overwhelm them with firepower," Kexavara decided. But the humans had other plans. Captain Brooks dove her ship straight toward the enemy fleet's center. Her weapons officer, Lieutenant Carl Peterson, had worked with Sam Rodriguez to install the new railguns. "Firing," Carl announced. The railguns launched a stream of metal projectiles at the Zephyrian flagship. The aliens' energy shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, barely slowed down the solid metal slugs. The projectiles punched through the shields and slammed into the ship's hull. "Impossible," Kexavara shouted as her ship shook from the impacts. "How did they penetrate our shields?" Her science officer was checking his instruments frantically. "Admiral, they're using kinetic weapons. Solid matter moving at extreme velocities. Our shields weren't designed for this kind of attack." Meanwhile, Dr. Amy Foster had prepared her own surprise. Her ship, the ESS Defender, was equipped with electromagnetic pulse weapons that should have been useless against advanced alien technology. But Amy had discovered something interesting about the Zephyrian ships. All their systems are interconnected, she explained to her captain over the comm. If we can disrupt their main computer network, we might be able to shut down entire ships. Do it, came the reply. Amy fired her EMP weapons at the nearest Zephyrian cruiser. The electromagnetic pulse spread across the alien ship's hull like invisible lightning. Suddenly, the cruiser's lights went out. Its engines stopped working. The ship began drifting helplessly through space. What happened to the Starfire? Kexvara demanded. All systems are down, Admiral. Some kind of electromagnetic interference has shut down our computers. That's impossible. Our systems are hardened against electromagnetic attacks. But it was happening all around the fleet. Human ships darted between the massive alien vessels, firing primitive weapons that somehow worked better than they should. The Zephyrians found themselves scattered and confused. Captain Jake Turner watched the battle from his ship's bridge. The humans were winning, but he knew it couldn't last. They were still heavily outnumbered. Nina, we need to regroup, he called to Captain Brooks. Agreed. My ship is low on ammunition anyway. The human ships pulled back to Earth orbit. Behind them, the Zephyrian fleet tried to reorganize. Half their ships were damaged or disabled, and Admiral Kexvara was furious. How is this possible? She demanded. We have technology that's thousands of years more advanced than theirs. Commander Veltar was studying the battle recordings. Admiral, I think I understand the problem. Our technology is more advanced, but it's also more complex. We've optimized everything for maximum efficiency and performance. And the humans haven't. Their weapons are crude but simple. Their tactics are chaotic but effective. They're using brute force and unpredictability instead of sophisticated strategy. Kexvara thought about this. The Empire had spent millennia perfecting their technology and tactics. Every weapon was precisely calibrated. Every maneuver was mathematically calculated. It had always worked before. So you're saying their primitive approach is somehow superior to our advanced methods? Not superior, Admiral. Just different. We're prepared to fight other advanced civilizations that follow logical patterns. The humans don't follow any patterns at all. On Earth, Sam Rodriguez was already working on new weapons. His factory was running at full speed, producing more railguns and missiles. Dr. Amy Foster was modifying her EMP systems to be even more effective against alien technology. The trick is to find their weak points, Amy explained to Dr. Martinez. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but that makes it vulnerable in ways they don't expect. What do you mean? Their systems are so interconnected and sophisticated that a simple disruption can cascade through their entire network. It's like using a sledgehammer on an expensive watch. The watch might be better made, but the sledgehammer still wins. Dr. Martinez nodded. Humanity's approach to technology had always been different from what the aliens expected. Humans built things to work under bad conditions with limited resources. They made devices that could be repaired with spare parts and determination. The aliens built things to work perfectly under ideal conditions. When those conditions changed, their perfect technology became a weakness. Admiral Kexvara knew she had to adapt her strategy. These humans had already proven that conventional tactics wouldn't work. She needed to think like a human if she wanted to defeat them. But thinking like a human was harder than it seemed. After 3,000 years of following precise military doctrine, creativity and chaos didn't come naturally to the Zephyrian mind. The next battle would be different. Both sides were learning from their mistakes. But the humans had one advantage the aliens didn't understand yet. They were used to making things up as they went along. The Zephyrian Science Council chamber was the most prestigious meeting place in the Empire. Its crystalline walls held the accumulated knowledge of 3,000 years of galactic civilization. Today, those walls would witness something unprecedented. Dr. Alex Kim sat in the center of the chamber, surrounded by the Empire's greatest minds. The human physicist looked calm despite being light years from home. He had volunteered for this mission when Admiral Kexvara requested a meeting with Earth scientists. Dr. Kim, began High Scientist Zareth, we have studied your technology extensively. According to every principle of physics we understand, your ship should not be able to perform as they do. Please explain. Alex smiled. Which part would you like me to start with? Your engines. Our calculations show they should produce half the power output we observe. That's because you're calculating based on perfect efficiency, Alex replied. We don't build for perfect efficiency. The alien scientists looked confused. Zareth consulted his datapad. But efficiency is the goal of all engineering. Why would you deliberately build inefficient systems? Because perfect efficiency only works under perfect conditions, Alex explained. In the real universe, conditions are never perfect. Our engines are designed to work when things go wrong. To demonstrate, Alex pulled out a small device that looked like it was built from spare parts. This is a backup power cell from our ship. Watch what happens when I overload it. He adjusted some settings and the device began glowing brighter than it should. The Zephyrian scientists gasped. You're exceeding the device's rated capacity, Zareth said. It should shut down automatically. Should, yes. But it doesn't. We build things to keep working even when they're pushed beyond their limits. Meanwhile, in another part of the ship, engineer Carl Peterson was working with a team of Zephyrian technicians. They were trying to understand how human computers functioned. Your computational systems are extremely primitive, said tech specialist Mordak. Binary code? We abandoned such crude methods millennia ago, Carl nodded. Binary is simple, but simple works. When your quantum computers have a problem, how do you fix them? We replace the entire quantum matrix assembly, Mordak replied. And if you don't have a replacement, then the computer doesn't function. Carl pulled out a small tablet that was obviously damaged. Half the screen was cracked and it was held together with metal tape. This has been dropped, shot at, soaked in water, and frozen solid. Watch. He pressed the power button and the device started up normally. The Zephyrian technicians stared in amazement. How is this possible? Mordak asked. Because we design for failure, Carl explained. Every component has backups. Every system can work around damage. It's not elegant, but it's reliable. Back in the Science Council chamber, Dr. Alex Kim was explaining human problem-solving methods. Let me give you an example, he said. How would you design a device to open sealed containers? Zareth thought for a moment. We would analyze the molecular structure of the container material, calculate the exact force required to break the bonds, then design a precision tool with the optimal energy output. Alex reached into his pocket and pulled out a small crowbar. We use this. That's just a metal bar bent at an angle, observed another scientist. Exactly. It opens almost any container, works with any material, requires no power source, and if it breaks, you can make another one in any machine shop. The alien scientists exchanged glances. Their approach was mathematically perfect, but the human approach was universally practical. But surely your spacefaring technology is more sophisticated, Zareth said. Some of it, Alex admitted. But even our most advanced systems follow the same principles. Multiple backups, simple repairs, and the ability to function under unexpected conditions. To prove his point, Alex called up Captain Jake Turner on his communicator. The device looked crude compared to Zephyrian communication technology, but it worked perfectly. Jake, can you show our hosts the repair bay? The main screen lit up with a view of the ESS Liberty's engineering section. It looked like organized chaos. Human technicians were working on various systems with tools that ranged from advanced scanners to simple hammers. Dr. Foster, show them the engine repair you did yesterday, Jake called out. Dr. Amy Foster appeared on screen, holding what looked like a piece of metal pipe. One of our antimatter containment fields failed. According to the manual, we should replace the entire assembly. Instead, I made this. She held up a device that was clearly built from spare parts. It's not pretty, but it works. And I made it in 2 hours with materials we had on hand. The Zephyrian scientists were silent. In their civilization, such a repair would require weeks of planning and specially manufactured components. High Scientist Zareth finally spoke. Your methods are highly irregular. How do you ensure reliability without following established protocols? We test everything, Alex replied. We build it, break it, fix it, and break it again. We learn from every failure. But that's so inefficient. In the short term, yes. But in the long term, it makes us better problem solvers. Carl Peterson rejoined the discussion. Can I show them something? He asked Alex. Alex nodded and Carl addressed the assembled scientists. You've perfected your technology over thousands of years. That's impressive. But what happens when you encounter something completely new? We study it using established scientific methods, Zareth replied. How long does that take? For a truly new phenomenon? Perhaps decades of research, Carl smiled. Yesterday we encountered your energy shields for the first time. Within 6 hours, Sam Rodriguez had designed weapons that could penetrate them, not because he understood the science behind them, but because he tried a dozen different approaches until one worked. The implications hit the Zephyrian scientists like a shock wave. Humans didn't just adapt to new situations, they thrived in them. "You're saying that ignorance is an advantage?" asked another scientist. "Not ignorance," Alex corrected. "Willingness to experiment. You see an unknown technology and want to understand it completely before acting. We see an unknown technology and immediately start figuring out how to work with it, around it, or through it." Dr. Amy Foster's voice came through the communicator again. "Alex, tell them about the fusion antimatter hybrid drive." Alex grinned. "That's a perfect example. Our engineers combined two different propulsion technologies that, according to theory, shouldn't work together. But they tried it anyway, and it produced results neither technology could achieve alone. But the theoretical incompatibilities," Zareth began, "are less important than practical results." Alex finished. "We don't let theory stop us from trying new things." The Science Council was quiet for a long time. Everything they had believed about technological advancement was being challenged. The Empire had achieved greatness through careful, methodical progress, but these humans had achieved comparable results through experimentation and adaptation. "Dr. Kim," Zareth said finally, "your approach seems to violate every principle of scientific advancement." "Maybe," Alex replied, "but it works. And in the end, isn't that what matters?" High Scientist Zareth looked around at his colleagues. They had spent their lives pursuing perfect understanding and optimal solutions. The humans had achieved similar or better results by embracing imperfection and adaptability. It was a humbling realization. The Empire's greatest strength, their systematic approach to knowledge, might also be their greatest weakness when facing the unknown. Major Ryan Clark checked his equipment one final time. The rescue mission to Kepler Station was the most dangerous operation he'd ever attempted. 300 human colonists were trapped on the ice moon, and the Zephyrian blockade made a conventional rescue impossible. "Remember, we're going in fast and quiet," he told his team. "The aliens expect us to follow their rules. We're going to break every rule they have." His ship, the ESS Ranger, was humanity's newest design. It looked like a collection of spare parts welded together, which wasn't far from the truth. But appearances were deceiving. On Kepler Station, Dr. Kate Sullivan was keeping 300 people alive with equipment that should have failed weeks ago. The research station had been built to study the ice moon's unique crystal formations, not to survive a siege. "Kate, the main power generator is running at 200% capacity," reported her assistant, Tom Bradley. "It's going to burn out soon." "Then we'll fix it again," Kate replied calmly. She had been fixing impossible problems for so long that she barely remembered what normal operations felt like. The station's life support system was a masterpiece of improvised engineering. Kate had connected the heating system to the mining equipment, rerouted power through the communication array, and turned the geology lab into a backup air recycling center. Admiral Kexvara studied the intelligence reports about the human station. Her engineering staff assured her that the facility should have shut down days ago. "Their power systems are completely overloaded," reported Chief Engineer Talvar. "According to our models, they should be experiencing cascade failures throughout their infrastructure. Yet they continue to function," Kexavara observed. "How? We don't know, Admiral. Their maintenance records show constant repairs and modifications, but none of it follows standard engineering protocols." Meanwhile, Major Clark's ship approached the ice moon using a trajectory that made Zephyrian sensors confused. Instead of following a logical flight path, the Ranger used the moon's magnetic field, ice particle clouds, and gravitational anomalies to stay hidden. "Ryan, their sensor grid is designed to track ships following normal physics," explained his pilot, Lieutenant Sarah Webb. "If we fly like we're crazy, they can't predict where we'll be." "Are we crazy?" asked Ryan. "Probably. But it's working." On the station, Dr. Kate Sullivan received an encrypted message from Earth. Major Clark was coming, but she needed to prepare for something unusual. "Tom, we need to disable the main antenna array," she told her assistant. "Disable it? That's our only communication with the outside, trust me. When the rescue ship arrives, the aliens are going to try to track its communications. If we don't have communications, they can't track them." It was classic human logic. The best way to solve a problem was sometimes to create a different problem. Kate grabbed her toolkit and headed outside. The ice moon's surface was deadly, with temperatures that could freeze human blood in minutes. But the environmental suit was another example of human engineering philosophy. The Zephyrian equivalent would be a perfectly climate-controlled life support system that maintained ideal conditions. The human suit was designed to keep a person alive in conditions that would kill them, which was a very different goal. Kate, you've got about 20 minutes before the cold starts affecting your suit's power cells. Tom warned her over the radio. Then I'll work fast. She reached the antenna array and began disconnecting key components. To anyone watching, it would look like equipment failure. But Kate was carefully creating a specific pattern of damage that would make the array useless for tracking, but could be quickly repaired later. Major Ryan Clark's ship finally reached the moon's surface. The landing was rough. Human ships were built to survive bad landings, not avoid them. Everyone out, Ryan ordered. We've got about an hour before the aliens figure out where we are. His team moved through the station quickly, gathering the colonists and preparing for evacuation. But there was a problem. Major, we can't fit everyone on one ship, reported Sergeant Lisa Johnson. Ryan thought fast. Kate, how long would it take to get the mining shuttles working? Dr. Sullivan checked her instruments. The shuttles haven't been used in months. They'd need major repairs. How major? Give me 30 minutes and a miracle. You've got 15 minutes and whatever Tom can find in the spare parts locker. This was the difference between human and Zephyrian approaches to emergencies. The aliens would calculate exactly what was needed, order the correct parts, and complete the repairs properly. Humans would grab whatever was available and make it work somehow. Kate and Tom raced to the shuttle bay. The mining shuttles were designed for short trips to the moon's surface, not space travel. But with some creative modifications, they might survive long enough to reach the rescue ship. Tom, remove the mining equipment and use that space for passengers, Kate ordered. I'll reroute the life support from the cargo bay. Kate? That's not going to be safe. Safe enough is good enough right now. While they worked, Major Clark received an urgent message from Lieutenant Webb. Ryan, Zephyrian ships are moving to intercept us. We've got maybe 20 minutes. Understood. Kate, how are those shuttles coming? First one is ready to fly, maybe. The second one needs 5 more minutes. You've got 3. Admiral Kexvara watched the human activity on her tactical display. Her sensors showed impossible readings from the ice moon. The humans appeared to be making spacecraft out of mining equipment. Admiral, they're attempting to escape using industrial shuttles, reported Commander Veltar. Those vehicles aren't designed for space travel. Then they'll fail and we can capture them easily. But the first shuttle launched successfully, followed by the second. Both ships moved in erratic patterns that made targeting difficult. How are they maneuvering? Kexvara demanded. Those shuttles don't have proper navigation systems. The humans appear to be flying manually, Veltar replied. No computer assistance at all. The escape was chaotic. The shuttles were overloaded with passengers and barely holding together. But they reached the Ranger and Major Clark's team managed to transfer everyone aboard. All passengers secure, reported Sergeant Johnson. But we're way over capacity. Then we'll have to fly very carefully, Ryan said. The return journey was a nightmare of improvised solutions. The ship's life support was stressed beyond its limits, so Kate rigged additional air recyclers from shuttle parts. The engines were overheating, so Tom created extra cooling systems from spare equipment. Every few minutes, something broke, and someone fixed it with whatever was available. It wasn't elegant, but it worked. Admiral Kexvara followed the rescue operation with growing amazement. By every logical calculation, the human ships should have failed multiple times, yet they continued functioning. Admiral, said her science officer, I'm beginning to understand how human technology works. Explain. They don't try to prevent failures. They plan for them. Every system has multiple backups, and every backup can be created from spare parts. That seems extremely inefficient. In normal conditions, yes. But in crisis situations, it's incredibly effective. Major Clark's ship finally reached Earth orbit. The rescue had been successful, but barely. Half the ship's systems needed repair, and they had used every spare part on board. Kate, how did you keep that station running for so long? Ryan asked as they prepared to dock. Dr. Sullivan smiled tiredly. Same way we got everyone out. One problem at a time, one solution at a time, using whatever we had available. That's not how engineering is supposed to work. Maybe not, Kate agreed. But it's how human engineering works. The rescue mission had demonstrated something important to both sides. Zephirian technology was superior under ideal conditions, but human technology was superior when conditions were far from ideal, and in the real universe conditions were almost never ideal. Commander Troy Mitchell stood in the Zephirian Empire's Grand Council chamber, a place where no human had ever been allowed before. The massive hall could hold thousands, but today only the most important leaders from both species were present. "The situation has changed," announced High Chancellor Kextan, the Empire's supreme leader. His voice echoed through the crystalline chamber. "We face an enemy that threatens both our civilizations." On the main display, dark ships moved through space like shadows. They had no lights, no energy signatures, and no apparent means of propulsion. They simply existed, and wherever they went, entire star systems went silent. "The Void Hunters have returned," the Chancellor continued. "After 1,000 years of absence, they have come back to finish what they started." Admiral Kexavara stepped forward. "Commander Mitchell, we need your help. Our previous war with the Void Hunters nearly destroyed the Empire. Traditional tactics and technology proved insufficient." Troy studied the tactical displays. The Void Hunters' ships defied every principle of engineering he knew. They seemed to absorb energy weapons and ignore kinetic attacks. Worst of all, they learned from every encounter, adapting their defenses faster than anyone could adapt their weapons. "What makes you think we can help?" Troy asked. "If your advanced technology couldn't stop them, what can our primitive systems do?" High Scientist Zareth spoke up. "Because primitive might be exactly what we need. The Void Hunters adapt to logical, predictable technology. Your technology is neither logical nor predictable." Dr. Sophie Green, Earth's leading xenobiology expert, was already studying the sensor data. "Their ships are partially organic," she observed. "Living technology that evolves in real time. That explains how they adapt so quickly." "Can we fight living ships?" Troy asked. "Not with traditional weapons," Sophie replied, "but maybe with non-traditional ones. Within hours." Joint human Zephirian research teams were working around the clock. Dr. Sophie Green collaborated with Zareth to understand the Void Hunters' biology. Engineer Sam Rodriguez worked with Zephirian weapons specialists to create new types of armaments. "The problem is that we're thinking about this wrong," Sophie explained to the mixed group of scientists. "We're trying to destroy their ships, but ships are just tools. We need to disrupt the living systems that control them." Sam Rodriguez had a different idea. "What if we don't try to destroy them at all? What if we confuse them instead?" "Explain," requested Zareth. "The Void Hunters adapt to threats by learning from them. But what if we give them so many different threats that they can't adapt to all of them at once?" It was classic human thinking. If you can't solve a problem, create bigger problems for your enemy. The first joint fleet launched 2 weeks later. Admiral Kexavara commanded the operation, but every ship had human advisors. The plan was unlike anything either civilization had ever attempted. "Remember," Troy told the combined fleet, "we're not trying to win through superior firepower. We're trying to win through superior confusion." The Void Hunter fleet approached like a spreading darkness. Their ships moved in perfect coordination, flowing through space like a living organism. Intelligence reports said they had already consumed 3-star systems. "Beginning attack pattern Alpha," announced Admiral Kexavara. The first wave of ships attacked with conventional Zephirian energy weapons. As expected, the Void Hunters' defenses adapted quickly, absorbing the energy and strengthening their shields. "Attack pattern Beta," called Troy. The second wave used Sam Rodriguez's kinetic weapons, the same railguns that had surprised the Zephirians. The Void Hunters began adapting to these as well, their ship hulls growing thicker and more resilient. "Attack pattern Gamma." The third wave was pure human chaos. Every ship used different weapons: electromagnetic pulses, chemical explosives, focused radiation, sonic disruptors, and even simple ramming attacks. Each ship fired at different intervals with different targeting patterns. The Void Hunters' adaptation systems went into overdrive, trying to defend against dozens of completely different threats simultaneously. Their coordination began to break down as individual ships developed different defensive measures. "It's working," reported Dr. Sophie Green from her monitoring station. "Their collective intelligence is fragmenting. They can't adapt to everything at once, but the Void Hunters weren't finished. Their ships began merging together, forming larger vessels that combined all their adapted defenses. They're consolidating," warned Zareth. If they succeed, they'll be immune to everything we've thrown at them. Troy had anticipated this. Attack pattern Delta. All ships fire everything. What followed wasn't a battle. It was controlled chaos. Human ships dove between the massive Void Hunter vessels, firing whatever weapons they had available. Zephyrian ships provided precise cover fire, while human engineers attempted real-time modifications to their weapon systems. Dr. Amy Foster was aboard the ESS Liberty, working frantically to modify their engines. If we can create a feedback loop in their adaptive systems, we might be able to overload them, she called out over the noise of battle. How? Asked Captain Jake Turner. By giving them exactly what they expect, then changing it at the last second. Amy rerouted the ship's entire power system through the main engines, creating an energy signature that looked like a massive weapon charging. The nearest Void Hunter ship began adapting its defenses to absorb the incoming energy blast. At the last moment, Amy shut down the power and fired a simple kinetic projectile instead. The Void Hunter ship, prepared for an energy attack, was completely vulnerable to the metal slug that punched through its hull. All ships, adopt the Foster Protocol, Troy ordered. Fake them out, then hit them with something completely different. The tide of battle turned. Human unpredictability combined with Zephyrian precision created a fighting style the Void Hunters couldn't counter. Their adaptation systems designed to handle logical threats couldn't cope with deliberate illogic. One by one, the dark ships began falling silent. Their living systems, overwhelmed by contradictory adaptation requirements, simply shut down. Admiral Kexavara watched the last Void Hunter ship drift powerlessly through space. How did we do it? She asked. How did chaos defeat order? Because chaos isn't the opposite of order, Troy replied. It's what happens when order becomes too rigid to adapt. Dr. Sophie Green was analyzing the defeated ships. Their technology was perfect for fighting other advanced civilizations, but it assumed that enemies would behave logically. And humans don't behave logically, asked Zareth. Not when logic doesn't work, Sophie smiled. That's our greatest strength. The victory celebration was held on both Earth and the Zephyrian homeworld. For the first time in galactic history, two completely different approaches to technology and warfare had combined to create something greater than either could achieve alone. High Chancellor Kexdan addressed the Joint Assembly. The Empire has learned much from humanity. We have discovered that perfection is not always perfect, and that the best solution is not always the most elegant one. Troy Mitchell stood beside Admiral Kexavara as they signed the Alliance Treaty. The document established joint research stations throughout both civilizations' territories, where human creativity would work alongside Zephyrian precision. What happens now? Asked Dr. Lisa Martinez, who had arrived for the ceremony. Now we build something new, Troy replied. Technology that combines the best of both our approaches. Dr. Sophie Green was already planning the next phase. Her new research station would study how biological and mechanical systems could work together, using human adaptability and Zephyrian sophistication. Sam Rodriguez was designing weapons that could be manufactured using Zephyrian precision, but deployed using human flexibility. The resulting systems would be both elegant and chaotic, sophisticated and simple. As the two fleets prepared to return to their respective homes, Admiral Kexavara reflected on everything that had changed. The Empire had ruled the galaxy through superior technology and careful planning. But they had learned that sometimes the best plan was to have no plan at all. Commander Mitchell, she said, your people have taught us something valuable. What's that? That intelligence isn't just about knowing the right answer. Sometimes it's about trying the wrong answer until you find something that works. Troy smiled. And your people have taught us something too. Sometimes our crazy ideas work even better when they're precisely executed. The alliance between humanity and the Zephyrian Empire would reshape the galaxy. Together they would face new challenges with a combination of careful planning and creative chaos, sophisticated technology and adaptive improvisation. But more importantly, they had learned that the universe was big enough for more than one way of thinking. Sometimes the best solutions came not from choosing between order and chaos, but from finding ways to make them work together. The age of precision had ended. The age of adaptive innovation had begun.